We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Crackdowns on pro-Hamas protesters. Biden wants to reclassify marijuana, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. The New York City Police Department released footage Tuesday night of its raid inside a Columbia University building after being given permission to take it back from pro-Hamas agitators. Hamilton Hall, which was overtaken late Monday night, was cleared at around 11 p.m. Tuesday after a nearly 2-hour operation by NYPD officers, most of whom were in riot gear. The encampment on campus was also cleared of agitators. Only their tents remained when the raid was over. Officers moved in on the occupied building at 9 p.m. Tuesday after leadership at Columbia requested their assistance. NYPD sources said that about 230 protesters were taken into custody at Columbia University and that a number between 40 and 50 were arrested in connection to the occupation of Hamilton Hall. The remaining protesters were arrested at City College. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Police Department was on the scene Wednesday morning at the University of California, Los Angeles. But for hours before they arrived, the scene was a battlefield. Pro-Israel counter-protesters went to the university overnight to confront the pro-Hamas protesters who set up an encampment on campus. Fighting broke out and continued for hours before Mayor Karen Bass sent police to the school to break it up. A New York judge on Tuesday fined Donald Trump $9,000 and threatened to throw him in jail for repeatedly violating a gag order restricting the former president from making public statements about potential witnesses in his hush money trial. The court finds defendant in criminal contempt for willfully disobeying a lawful mandate of this court. Justice Juan Merchan wrote in an 8-page ruling that said Trump could face jail time for further defiance. Merchan's findings comes after prosecutors alleged Trump violated the gag order in recent posts on his social media site and campaign website. The judge prohibited the former president from making statements about likely witnesses, prosecutors, court staff, or their families. Merchan, in his decision, said that prosecutors met the burden of proof for a violation in 9 of the 10 posts they flagged. Trump was fined $1,000 for each violation, the maximum amount under state law. House GOP Conference Chair Elise Stefanik, the Republican from New York, is filing an ethics complaint against Special Counsel Jack Smith, accusing him of violating Department of Justice standards and trying to tip the election against former President Trump. In a letter sent to the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility, Stefanik urged the government watchdog to investigate Smith over accusations of abusing the resources of the federal government to unlawfully interfere with the 2024 presidential election. Jack Smith's multiple attempts to rush to trial the federal January 6th case against President Trump violated long-standing explicit Justice Department policy, Stefanik wrote. Further, Jack Smith's repeated violation of the United States District Court of the District of Columbia's stay of proceedings are a lawless breach of trial ethics and lawyerly conduct. Jack Smith's actions brought disrepute to the Justice Department and the federal government as a whole, and he should face discipline appropriately. President Biden announced he wants to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The DEA is moving to reschedule marijuana into the same category as prescription drugs like ketamine, anabolic steroids, and Tylenol with codeine, according to the Associated Press. This marks the agency's biggest marijuana policy change in half a century. The proposal, which still needs to be reviewed by the White House, would not legalize marijuana, but would recognize its medical use, make it easier to buy and sell, and acknowledge that it has less abuse potential than drugs like heroin. Biden allies hope the move helps with younger voters who generally support relaxing weed laws. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.